What's up, y'all? This is Czar. I want to give you an overview of the Waves H-Comp and show you why it's a very special compressor in the Waves lineup. So let's first talk about what the Waves H-Comp is. The H-Comp stands for Hybrid Compressor. It's Waves doing an analog compressor, but as a plug-in. It's not an 1176 clone. It's not a LA2A clone, which is why I really like it. There's enough clones of classic gear out there, in my opinion. So this is Waves doing something totally unique and different. So let's take a look at the features here. First here, the analog button. This analog knob you can think of it as 4 different output transformers for your signal. Each one has a subtle change that it adds, and then you can also turn it off, of course, if you wanted the signal more cleaner. If you're familiar with compressors, you got your standard ratio. We got from 1 all the way up to 50. The 1-to-1, of course, you can use the H-Comp as kind of like a color box, because at 1-to-1 you're not doing any compression, but you can use this and still add tone and color to your signal. The punch knob here allows you to add transients back if you're really squashing a signal, and I'll show you an example of that in a minute. Your attack, you go from half a millisecond all the way up to 100 milliseconds. You can go to a really slow attack. You got your threshold. The release is one of the most interesting and unique things about the H-Comp. The release has 3 different modes. The BPM, you can set your release to the tempo of the song. I've never seen another compressor be able to do that. The host sets the release time to the tempo of the song. BPM, you can set it to a different BPM other than what the song or what your session tempo is. And then you got your standard milliseconds that we're all used to. Actually, the BPM you can set to also, as you see here, 1 bar, 164. You've got, I think around here is a quarter note. Yeah, there's a quarter note. So you can set your release almost as you would set your delays with quarter notes, half notes. You got your output, and the mix knob is what allows you to blend the dry signal back in. So in using H-Comp the last few weeks, I've really liked it on drums. Drum bus has been my favorite use for it, for the feature to set the release to the tempo, the mix dry. This compressor is really perfect for drums to me, and I love what it does to the low end. It really thickens things up nice. Vocals, I've used it on vocals, I've used it on mix bus, I've used it on bass, I've used it to duck a bass. Because of the thickness that it adds, my favorite uses for the H-Comp is drum bus and bass. On vocals, if I have a thin sounding vocal, then I would use the H-Comp to thicken it up. It works really good for that. So let's look into some examples here. The session I've got here is a song named Crazy from artist named Venus that I recorded at Quad Studios last weekend here in Nashville. On this mix, I've used the H-Comp for parallel drum compression, and I've also used it on the mix bus. Now, what I'm about to play, you wouldn't hear it on the mix bus. For this video, I had set all my outputs to 1 and 2. Normally when I mix through a Dangerous D-Box and an Analogue sum. I'm going to put a link to this song in the description, and where you can hear it on SoundCloud. And on SoundCloud, you'll be able to hear the H-Comp on mix bus there. That's the final mix for the song. So first, I'm going to play a little bit for it so you can hear what it is. Okay, so let's first look at how I used it on the parallel compression here for the drums. So let's get rid of this default one. So you can look at what I've done here. I've used the analog setting 4. ratio is 8-to-1. I've got the punch engaged. I think I got about a 10 millisecond attack here. The release I've got set to the tempo of the song. Again, I love that feature on here. It makes it really, really easy to set the release for drums because you want your drums to move to the tempo. So let's take a listen here. And now I'm going to play it again and bypass the H comp so you can hear what it's doing for the parallel compression.
Mind blown, I see his face up in the clouds now.
Put it back in.
And at night time, oh, I still see him in my dreams.
So it's subtle, but you can feel a low end lift there when I engage the H comp. And that's that thickness I was talking about. I'm going to move to the chorus here where I've got a bass line coming in, and I've got the bass going through the parallel compression too, so you can hear what that's doing.
Oh, you got me going, going. I'm going crazy. You got me going, going. I'm going crazy. For what you're doing to me.
So again, you can hear that low end lift that the H comp is giving the drums here. Now I want to talk about the punch button. The punch button adds transients back. So when you heavily compress a signal, you're squashing the transients. So this is what the punch button is for. And what I'm going to do is switch to setup A, where I've got the punch off. On setup B, I've got it at 15. So listen to the kick drum, focus on that, and listen to what the punch is doing when I'm engaging it.
On a way like I'm in Chi-Town, and at the right time, he'll ask me, will you be my queen? You got me going, going. I'm going crazy. You got me going.
So with the punch engaged, you can hear it's adding a little more of the punch, as pun intended, back into the drums there. So I've also used the H comp, like I said, on mix bus, and just so you can see my settings for that, even though like I said you're not hearing it, but again, setting the release to the host makes it really easy for mix bus compression. Ratio 1.5, and again I've got the punch back going, but because the H comp adds that low end and thickness, I want to use it on mix bus to kind of enhance the low end that I was already getting again, and I think it worked out very well. So like I said, I'm gonna put a link to this song so you can hear it, and I say comment on the video, let me know what you think. Catch y'all next time.